Hey everyone. Yeah, I thought I'd kind of give you my thoughts on Payback last night, sort of my review. Now, it was the first. I don't know if it was the second, but I know in a sense for me, it could have been the second. I'm not really sure, but I know for me it was the first full-on WWE pay-per-view that I watched on the network. And I can tell you this, for anybody that doesn't know about the WWE network, like let's say my mom, she well, let's just put it this way. I was watching Payback, and my mom opens the door. I don't know if she knocked or not. I can't remember. And she's thinking, "What did you do? Order this?" Because she's thinking she's used to me ordering stuff off pay-per-view, right? And I know, and I said no. I had to explain to her what it was, and I don't know if she even then understood what I was saying. I was basically telling her, no, it's a network subscription. It's a thing that you do $10 a month. Now, again, I don't know if she understood that or not, but hopefully she did. But anyway, watched Payback. I thought it was I thought it was all right. I mean, there were some matches on there. Don't get me wrong; they felt like they belonged on a Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown or even a main event. They did feel like that. I mean, as decent as they were, they felt more like they belonged on those programs instead of on a pay per view. Yeah, they really did. I mean, I can understand maybe from a wrestling aspect the reason they put these matches on pay per view because pay per view gives them a lot more time. They don't have to worry about the time constraints or anything like that, or having to push something to the side. Push something to the side because well we didn't have enough time to put that segment out there or put that match out there like we were planning. So I can understand that. I can understand and respect that. So in a sense, there's that reason. There's that reason right there. Um, but overall, like I said, it was all right. I mean, it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, but it was all right. It was basically a very mediocre, very average, mediocre show. That's what it was. Let's be quite honest. It was a very average, very mediocre wrestling show, sports entertainment wrestling show, whatever you want to call it. Now, like I said, some of the matches did belong on Raw in a sense. Um, Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler, that to me kind of falls in between whether or not it could have been just a Raw match or a pay per view match. Um, just because of the way it went, but I guess because of the fact of the way it ended and all that, you could kind of classify it as being a pay per view match. At least in this case, an opener like it was. So, um, but the match between them was all right. I mean, like I said, it was nice to see a little bit of color in the match, as some people would like to say. But yeah, it was decent. It was okay. Sheamus went over. I mean, WWE wants to push Sheamus strong so that when he, as they head to the Elimination Chamber, um, they can try to focus on him as a strong favorite to become the Intercontinental Champion. So, all right, match. The next match was the 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag team titles, which I kind of liked because it was a throwback, in my opinion, to the days that the WWE, when they were the WWF, back in the 80s and all that, and even the early 90s, would have 2 out of 3 fall matches for the tag team titles. I like that. I really did. So it was a decent match. It was well, not deep, but it was a good match. I'll put it that way. It was one of the. I do agree with some people, like the Lex Man. He said it was one of the best matches of the night. I do agree with that. It was good. It was good. I mean, you could tell that the New Day is that you could tell that the WWE and New Day are really are really just playing up this whole New Day sucks uh, angle, this New Day sucks gimmick that is basically which has basically made them heel. I mean, when you think about it, I know it's a strange comparison, but in a sense, what WWE did with the New Day is basically turned them into the Kurt Angle of the tag team division. You all remember when Kurt Angle first showed up, he was doing exactly what they were doing until he embraced being a full-fledged heel. He threw out the, basically, till he said, you know what, fine. You want to say I suck? Fine, I'm going to go against you guys. So, I do like that. I do like that they've embraced it, but I don't see the New Day lasting very long as a trio. I really don't. And I'll probably explain that later, but I just don't see them lasting long as a trio. I see one breaking out as a babyface again, and I think you guys may know which one I'm talking about. But anyway, like I said, it was a good match. I mean, I like the back and forth action here. I like how Cesaro and Kid went up one fall by basically dominating that first portion of it. It's like real. It was almost like it wasn't real quickly, but it was almost like as soon as Cesaro got in during the first, it looked like 5-something minutes, you knew they were going to get the first fall, and they did. So that was good. I do like the fact that I did like the little portion of the match where after that first fall, you have Xavier Woods getting up and saying, hey, Freebird rule, trying to get the ref to allow him to do a Freebird rule. Well, basically, okay, let's see, who was it? Kofi who got pinned, basically let Kofi go out and let him take over. So, anyway, with that said, basically, the match continued on after that. After Natalya kind of pulled Xavier down, and Kid went over the top rope and took care of Xavier. The match continued on, and the New Day did get the second fall with their finisher on Kid after they had basically disposed of Cesaro, who took a nasty bump on the outside. Thanks to Big E. And then, like I said, to get the second fall. And then, as much as it looked like Kid, and then finally Cesaro getting back on the ropes, looked like they were going to walk out with the tag titles towards the end. Cesaro gets distracted, basically. I think it's Cesaro that gets distracted, or was it Kid? I don't know which one. It was one of them gets distracted by tossing Kofi over the top rope. Kofi grabs onto them, pulls them down on the rope, pulls one of them down on the rope, and then Xavier Woods takes off his jacket. You see him taking off his jacket before this happens. Then he gets in the ring and rolls up, I think it was Cesaro Kid, one of them, to get the third pinfall for the New Day. Now, now you might say, well, wait a minute. He wasn't even in the match. Well, here's the thing. This is it's sort of a unique kind of twin magic-like deal. You see, both him and Kofi have matching tights. So the ref didn't notice it was Xavier. All he noticed was the tights. That's all he did. So the New Day ends up stealing the match, winning it, and then later on, they find, as they're celebrating with wine glasses full of milk, which again is sort of like making them the Kurt Angle of the tag team division. You remember how Kurt was when he first came around. But then they find out, and then it's in this segment where you kind of see them really getting heelish a little bit, and I don't mean funny heel, but serious heel, when they find out that they got to compete in the first ever tag team elimination match. And I'll explain how I think that's going to work out as well later on. But they find out they got to compete in the first ever tag team elimination match, and they are not happy. They are not happy. So the next match we have is Ryback versus Bray Wyatt. And this one was a very physical match. You could tell there was some botches, some misses here and there. Like, you know, it's like they need more time in the ring against each other to really feel each other out, especially on a big stage like this. And like I say, it was a physical match. You know, kind of like, you know, just one of those physical like fights that, you know, no matter how many times you probably try to choreograph it or rehearse it, that someone involved is going to get hurt, and it looked like Ryback did get hurt with a broken rib because you had a senton by Bray Wyatt off the apron onto Ryback. So it looks like he might have a busted rib, maybe a bruised rib. We're not really sure. And but in the end, Bray Wyatt does end up getting the win after shoving Ryback into an exposed turnbuckle and hitting Sister Abigail. So the win kind of keeps Bray Wyatt strong. Basically, keeps him strong now going in to Elimination Chamber and possibly going into Money in the Bank, which I think he's one of the favorites to win that. So there's that. And then the I Quit match. The I Quit match was, well, let's just put it this way. Yes, it was long. Yes, some people may not have been a fan of how long and tedious it was, even though the outcome was inevitable. The reason, though, I look at it as probably one of the better matches of the night, not the match of the night, but one of the better matches. The reason I look at it, maybe, and I might be nuts for this, I might be nuts thinking this, but I look at it as being one of the better matches because it kind of went a little old school, if you will, which is ironic. They used an old school barrier as one of the weapons during the match. But it went a little old school. And what I mean by old school was the fact that, yes, it drug out, yes, it was long and everything, but it was to play out the drama. It was supposed to tell the story, the storyline drama, if you will, of the fact that no matter how many times you knocked each guy down, no matter how many times you tried to beat the guy into submission, they were not going to give up. And Rusev dominated a majority of the match at the beginning, and then when the foreign objects, the physical objects came around, it's like, you know, that's when things start to even out a little bit. You know, and this again is basically sort of like more of a storyline driven match. Think back to Undertaker Triple H, Hell in a Cell. Not on the same level as that match. I will say that. Not on the same level. But you got to remember that throughout that match, it was more about the storyline. You could hear them talking. You could hear Triple H tell Taker stay down. You could hear him telling Shawn Michaels to end it. Things like that. So that is, again, not on the level of that match, but basically in that category of it was more storyline driven. Because you had a moment where John Cena is telling Rusev as he's setting him up near the barricade, he says, "You quit now. I'm going to basically send you through this barricade." Rusev didn't quit. Cena did exactly what he said. He sent Rusev through the barricade. It was basically that kind of a match. Very story driven, very physical. I mean, there was a spot where basically John Cena, basically Rusev was going to send John Cena obviously onto the pyrotechnics, but John Cena instead was able to turn it around and hit and basically attitude adjust him onto the pyrotechnics. So, there were spots like that. Rusev taking off the top rope from the corner, taking it off to try to use the metal end to knock John Cena down or knock him out finally or get him to quit. But John was able to, turn that toward, and this was basically towards the end of the match, where, John Cena was able to turn that around, reverse that, and turn it into an STF where he used the rope for leverage. And then that's when Lana got involved because Rusev either was saying he quit, according to what she said in character on Twitter, or he wasn't quitting or something. I don't know what it was. We won't find out probably till tonight. And yeah, John Cena ends up retaining the United States Championship. So, in a sense, even though Rusev lost, I think he still looked strong. I think the WWE still kept him very strong here to the point that he's got to be one of the favorites going into the Chamber and one of the favorites going into Money in the Bank. So, yeah, he may have lost, but I don't think it's going to damage his character or his push anytime soon. Then we get the Divas tag match. Now I know some people don't care about the Divas, and that's your opinion. That's fine. You don't think they're worth the time. That's fine. It's no big deal. But to me, I looked at the Divas tag match and I thought it was okay. But I think it was, like I mentioned earlier, I think it was one of those matches that belonged on Raw, if not SmackDown, more than it belonged on a pay-per-view. Let's just put it that way. That's how I felt about it. I felt like it belonged more on a SmackDown, maybe a Raw, more so a SmackDown than it did on a pay-per-view. Even though it was an okay match. I mean, yes, give the Bellas all the crap you want to give them, but you could tell in a sense, and I know it might sound like I'm crazy, but you could tell in the sense they're trying to really improve and get better in their in-ring abilities. And you can't tell me that there's not many divas out there, many ladies out there in the Bella's shoes, or even in Eva Marie's shoes, that will not go out and want to be the best at what they can be. So, but to me, I look at it like, the Bellas, I should say. I know I said it wrong there, but the Bellas, to me, I think are improving. So we got to give them that. They may not be the catch cans wrestlers or women wrestlers like an AJ Lee or a Paige or even someone like, or even the ladies you see in Shimmer, or the Knockouts in TNA. but at least they're trying to improve. Now, the match was, like I say, was okay. It was more of an average SmackDown or Raw match that should have just been on one of those programs. Maybe been the main event of main event, if you know, maybe at that level. But it was okay. Naomi gets the win for her and Tamina. And it looks like they're going to be pushing Naomi to get the title. But will it happen at the Chamber? Will it happen tonight? Or will it happen at Money in the Bank? You see, that's going to be the question. That is going to be the ultimate question that we wonder going into that in the next few weeks.